Welcome back to another Retro Indie Spotlight. I'm your host, Gaming Jay, and today we are checking not out Wolfenstein 3D, but instead a game called ISO 3D, or ISO 3D. This game is Wolfenstein 3D from an isometric perspective, which sounds pretty wild, but I just watched a quick thing about it. It looked pretty cool, so I decided to throw my hat in and give it a shot. Now, when you download this relies on the original Wolfenstein 3D data file. So if you don't own Wolfenstein 3D, it will actually offer to download the shareware version of the game, and will immediately do so and then launch, which is what I did. So I only have episode 1, and we'll just play it on normal difficulty here and give it a shot. So here we are in ISO Wolf. So it's Wolfenstein 3D, but as you can see, it's in isometric perspective. This is pretty wild, actually. So there's like health and stuff to pick up. Now, I don't know all the secrets in Wolfenstein 3D, so we're gonna have to discover it together. Maybe I'll find a few, we'll see. But even just like the music and stuff, the sound effects, it really does sort of take me back. Now, are there any bad guys? What is happening? I don't remember there. Oh, there, our first bad guy. Oh, we got him. All right. I actually like being able to aim with the mouse here. I wonder if I'll do better at this than normally in Wolfenstein 3D. This first level feels very light in terms of, ooh, wow, bad guys. I like how the items have like that little sort of beam of light that like comes up. It's actually pretty cool. Now, one thing I am noticing is as soon as a room opens up, you can see the entire room, which almost makes it easier than the original Wolf 3D, because it's like if a guy's hiding in a corner or something, you see him instantly. So in a way, I think this makes the game easier, but I'm not entirely sure. Just checking the walls here to see if there's anything. I love the style, though. Like, I could definitely have seen this being a game that was released back in the day. And one thing I will say is that in Wolfenstein 3D, I find it hard, like, see, that guy's hiding, but he's not going to trick us. There we go. If you're Indiana Jones fantasy of killing Nazis. But anyway, when playing these, like Wolfenstein 3D and Quake, or not Quake, Doom and stuff, back in the day, I feel like it was easy to get lost in the levels. But I feel like this top-down perspective, oh, I have a machine gun, didn't even realize. This top-down perspective definitely makes it easier, for me at least, to not get lost. Stuck on the table there. So, yeah, I like it. It's kind of cool. Again, I could see this game totally having existed back in the day. Like, I'm glad Wolfenstein 3D was 3D. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like. Ooh, there we go. I like that it was 3D. But definitely, I could have seen it being this way as well, which is kind of interesting. This cross, by the way, speaking of Indiana Jones, reminded me of the Cross of Coronado, which is shown at the beginning of The Last Crusade. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess killing Nazis, I was just thinking Indiana Jones. He's the original Nazi killer, right? He didn't stand for no Nazis. What do you say about them Nazis? I hate these guys. That was like pretty good. That was like a Wilhelm scream almost. It's pretty good. Oh, and I think this is the end of the level. We did it. We passed a level. I'm sure there were more treasures we could have found, but that's okay. And now what? Now press escape. All right, level 2. Not only is this a cool thing to do with Wolfenstein, but it almost makes me think like the team or the developer that did this, they could totally now take this engine that they've built and they could just apply like their own universe to it. And yeah, they could make like a fun little game. Ooh, they could throw it on Steam. Like, why not? Like, I'm sure they put a lot of effort into this engine to get it to run Wolfenstein 3D levels. You know what'd be wild? Is if they made their own game, so their own graphics and everything, so that they could sell it, but they still use the Wolfenstein 3D level editor, if there is such a thing, to make their levels, because technically it's running Wolfenstein 3D stuff. You know, like they make their own levels and textures and stuff, but then just use the tools to make Wolf 3D. That'd be kind of funny. I don't think there was a Wolfenstein 3D level editor, at least not one that the public got. I know for like Doom there was a level editor, but even that I'm not sure that that formally came from the developers. But I remember my friend and I, there was like a friend whose house I always went to after school because he had good computers and I didn't, and we would just play video games at his house. And it got to a point where I think I was overstaying my welcome. But we won't go down that route. But no, we did have fun together. Just I think sometimes he was like, maybe you should go home, and I was like, don't you want to play games? I had a gaming addiction from a very young age, guys. But I remember me and that friend, we would make our own levels in Doom, and we weren't very good at editing levels, but it was like just fascinating to us that you could make levels. And yeah, even back in the day of Doom, it's like, you could create some pretty sophisticated stuff. Again, we weren't great at it, didn't really know what we were doing, but we at least did it. Oh yeah, oh god. Oh no, I'm gonna die. Ochtenleben. Down to 1% health. I need those turkey dinners. Alright, so my strategy of for a second there, I was like, maybe we just bum rush the Nazis. That did not work out too good for us. So I'm going to try and be a little more cautious here. Oh, you did that. I guess one disadvantage you have compared to actual Wolf 3D is you can't see really far in front of you. So it's like I can see around corners and stuff now, but I can't see what's down this hall. But in Wolfenstein 3D, you could. You know, it'd be an interesting idea is if you had a version of this where you could transition between 3D and 2.5 whenever you want, but maybe that would just be overpowered. Plus, also, people would probably just play it in one mode. I wonder if there's a way you could do something with that, though, you know? I guess another thing that makes... like, see, I wouldn't have known that guy was there in the 3D version. But in this one, he's easy pickings. Something else that makes this game even possible is that Wolfenstein 3D was technically not a 3D game. It was actually a 2D game. It was just drawn from the first-person perspective. But, like, all the worlds are flat, right? Like, there's no stairs. I'm never going to go up to another floor or anything. We are on a flat 2D level. I like when the guys go, Ochtenleben. But yeah, we're on a flat 2D level. But again, if you draw it from the first-person perspective, it looks 3D, right? Oh God. I guess... Mein Leben! You could get into a debate about what makes something 3D versus not, because you're like, maybe the level is technically 2D, but once it's from the first-person perspective, it is 3D again, but I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's something I've heard about Wolfenstein 3Ds. Technically, it's a 2D game. They just drew it from the first person, and it's like that was revolutionary. Power-ups too, by the way. Wolfenstein 3D has power-ups. Doom was supposed to have power-ups, but they abandoned the idea because I think, you know, once Doom came out and kind of games after Doom, the developers at id Software realized people don't care too much about power-ups anymore. Or not power-ups, but like collectibles, right? Like coins. I think this was like a vestige of arcade games and stuff. All games used to have like, you know, you just collect things for score. And, like, who gives a rat's flying butt about score anymore? You know, like, when was the last game that you tried to get a high score on? And I don't mean, like, you know, a speed run, complete the level as fast as possible, or 100% where you collect all the items. I mean, like, your actual score of, like, 1 million versus 2 million. Oh, shoot, I'm out of ammo? Hold on. No, I still have this gun. There we go. Okay, I accidentally switched off of my gun there. Like when you think of scores, like arcade high scores, like 2 million on Qbert, 2.5 million on Qbert. I feel like these days, gamers, we don't care about high score anymore. It's like something of the older generation cared about score. And so anyway, the team that made Wolfenstein here, they also made Commander Keen, and that had power-ups and collectibles and score and stuff too. So I think when they made Wolf 3D, they were just sort of on autopilot, including some of this stuff, because they just assumed that's what was supposed to be in a game. But by the time they made Doom, they decided, forget the score and all that crap, nobody cares. But the interesting thing is, I think in the game files for Doom, or in some of the early images, you can see collectibles and like the, you know, like little crosses and stuff you could pick up that did nothing but give you score were technically in the design docs and like the early builds. So kind of interesting actually to go around and collect, you know, relics from hell or whatever it was. Okay, I'm lost. I have no, I guess, is this where we started? This would have been the beginning. Now I don't know where to go. Here's another question. Is Wolfenstein 3D still banned in Germany? I know when it came out, Germany, understandably, was pretty sensitive about displaying swastikas and Hitler. So this game did not really fly in Germany. Ooh, did I get a key? Oh, maybe that opens that door over there that I couldn't open. So yeah, so they didn't really want to show Wolfenstein 3D. You know, oh, it did. Well, now we know that that means a locked door. Pull the switch. 70. So, oh my God, half the secrets, half the treasure, and some dudes survived. Here's another fun fact about Wolfenstein 3D. It was actually a remake. I think the original game might have been called Escape from or Return to Castle Wolfenstein, but I think it was a top-down stealth game. Almost like Metal Gear Solid, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I've played it, but I've like seen it. I think it was on like, God, I want to say DOS or Amiga or something. Some like early computer, like Atari ST maybe even. And so id Software didn't even invent like the Wolfenstein name. They like either licensed or purchased it, or it was in the public domain, one of those. I mean, those would have to be the only options, but kind of interesting to think about, because I think now if you say Wolfenstein, everyone associates it with Wolfenstein 3D. Like people forget that there was a game before this, but there was. In fact, I didn't know that for years and years and years and years. I don't think it was until I was like 30 that I learned that that was true. We just got to check the Hitler portraits in case there's a secret behind it. I wonder if modern dictators put secrets behind their portraits. Like if you went to Russia and just pushed on every portrait of Putin, would you eventually find some like treasure? Probably not. Probably just be severely disappointed that you were in Russia, frankly. Nothing against the Russian people, but my God. I will just say screw Putin. There you go. I said it. Controversial, I know, but try not to get too political here, guys, but when you're escaping a castle full of Nazis, you know, it invites the comparison. Anyway, we'll move on here. Don't want to bum everyone out by global events. That's from my other channel, Jay's Disappointing Global Events. A daily vlog on all the crap going wrong in the world. No, I'm just kidding. I think that would depress me. Anyway, back to video games. A room full of treasure! Cha-ching! We did it, guys! We're rich. Not only are we escaping the castle, we're becoming stinking rich at the same time. This is truly the American dream. Killing Nazis and becoming wealthy. Ideally, those two things are connected. One leads to the other. I guess also finding ancient treasures, you know, sort of tomb raiding, if you will. These are all lessons I learned from growing up on Indiana Jones, you know. One should, it belongs in a museum, is the mantra you have whenever you find some kind of ancient relic. Even though I'm pretty sure that these days that's just cultural appropriation. Like Indy was just stealing these like priceless artifacts from all these different cultures, putting it in like a British museum. Hey man, the 30s were a wild time. Also, I think a lot of people forget, but Indiana Jones was a university professor. I don't know about you guys, but my university professors were never as cool as Indiana Jones. I had some cool professors, don't get me wrong. Can you imagine having Indiana Jones as a professor? I wonder what his term papers were like. Or was he like did he write hard exams? Or, I mean, I got the sense from the movies he was a bit of a slacker. He didn't really take his academic job all that serious. So maybe he was actually a crappy professor. Though I do recall, like, now that we're talking about it, okay, this is the Indiana Jones rant now. I feel like all the girls in this class are always like, you know, crushing on him. So, I don't know. I don't know if that makes him a better or worse professor, but, I mean, Harrison Ford. You know? What girl's not going to crush on Harrison? Well, I mean, now he's an old man, but, you know, there was a time when he was a spring chicken. There was a time when I crushed on Harrison Ford, man. I mean, like, in his prime, he was awesome. He was almost our generation's James Bond. Okay, here, we're going to ambush this guy. Come on, buddy.
Mein Leben!
Mein Leben! Gotcha! Punked. Many of these rooms are just ammo and treasure. I guess if you knew where the end of the level was, you could just beeline for it. And I mean, I guess that's what speedrunning is. Like, this whole section does not need to be explored, it seems. I didn't get anything of value here. Except the thrill of the kill, which is kind of its own reward in a way. Alright. Yeah, here we go. Oh, there we go. See, the exit was right here. I could have skipped that. Oh, but I need the key. And I have no idea how to get that. Is there a map? M or tab. Oh, shoot, there is. Look at that. Can I move this around? I can't. Okay, this is actually kind of handy. I'm going to keep it up for a second here while I try to figure out where to go. Because it actually, oddly enough, even though I have a top-down view of the world, this gives me a bigger view of the world. And anything over here? Okay, nothing. Oh, I think there's a door. Nope, that's been explored. It's all been explored. All been explored. Okay. Man, this MIDI style music takes me back. It reminds me of like Saturday afternoons playing XCOM, UFO Defense, or like Fatal Racing, or I don't know, Leisure Suit Larry, Police Quest 2, you know? Well, I got the Sierra Police Quest and Space Quest strategy guides for Christmas once. I asked for it, and my parents got it for me, and I remember, because I had Police Quest 1 and 2, and I had Space Quest 2 and maybe 3, I think, and I could never beat them. So once I got the strategy guide, it was like a whole new ball game, you know? It opened up all sorts of different possibilities, because like finally I could get through the games. And I think I started using them just sparingly to get through a section here or there. But then eventually I just, because those Sierra games, they're no joke. They go on and on and on. And to this day in my life, I don't know that I've met a human who's legitimately beat a Sierra game by themselves. I mean, I certainly haven't. I don't think I've ever. I think... Oh, I got the key. Closest I ever came. I'm trying to think. It would either be Leisure Suit Larry 1 or Police Quest 1, I think. But even those, I say closest I've ever come, I wasn't anywhere near the end. You know what I mean? But I think those I've got the farthest in. Space Quest 2, I remember getting stuck at one point and just couldn't figure it out. I think stuck after you crash on the planet. So yeah, those games were so cryptic. They were fun. It was really fun to try and figure stuff out. But my God, were they cryptic. I'm going to use the map again so I can get to this door. We can see another level. It was over here, wasn't it? I think so, yeah. Oh, there we go. That wasn't the end of the level, but it was a door.
Oh.
Hey, you dick! I was trying to be sneaky. Shoot him from around a corner. Those sound effects when you pick up those chalices and stuff are out of whack with the game. Like this game about like sneaking out of a castle, gunning down Nazis, then you get a power. It's like boo doo doo doo, boo doo doo doo. It's like it sounds like it's from Sonic the Hedgehog or something. Or not even, I think it is actually Commander Keen sound effects, oddly enough. Oh god. I love the bullet effects, like when they shoot and I shoot, those like bullet lines. Those are great, actually. This music really does sound like XCOM UFO Defense, though. That is, I gotta play that game again sometime. You know what's crazy is I've played Terror from the Deep. I've tried XCOM Apocalypse. That might have been the only XCOM games I've tried. I've seen the modern one, and that one actually looks not bad, but I've just never gotten around to playing it. But to this day, I could play XCOM UFO Defense on a whim. You know, if it was loaded up and I sat down in front of a computer, I'd be like, well, I gotta play at least a little, you know? The only thing that stops me is it isn't constantly loaded on every computer I sit at in life. But XCOM, like Terror from the Deep, I remember really wanting a sequel to XCOM and trying Terror from the Deep and just being disappointed. And I think it's just that they made the game harder. And slower, and it didn't feel like it added as much. What I wanted was the same XCOM, but with like bigger battles, bigger cities, like more to explore, you know? And instead, I feel like they kind of took the same game and they just made it underwater, and they just made it harder. So it's almost like, if you guys remember the Japanese Mario 2. You know, Mario 1 was this huge success, and then they decided to make Mario 2, and they just make like much harder levels. And it worked well in Japan, but when they tried to release it in North America, they tested it and they were like, oof, no, people are not going to like this. So instead they, repackaged Doki Doki Panic as a Mario game. That's why the US Mario 2 is a little weird. But my point is that it kind of feels like they did the same thing with, the minigun. Oh my god, I'm glad we played to the minigun. It kind of feels like they did the same thing with XCOM Terror from the Deep. They sort of made a sequel pretty quick, and they just made it harder. And like, I don't think it's a bad game, but in terms of like what tickles my retro gaming bone fancy, oh yeah, is that that machine gun sound. I have to turn my volume down a bit. That's a little loud. Is XCOM UFO Defense, you know, like when you're on the farms trying to like clear out farmhouses and there's a UFO there, or like when you're in the cities and it's like so terrifying and they're like blowing up gas stations and stuff, and you know, researching all that alien technology, taking alien corpses back to your base, shooting down ships, that are hovering over Europe. Like, my god, XCOM UFO Defense. Just amazing game. I never played it until very late in high school. Ow. Let's try, buddy. It was sort of late for me. I think it was like a friend gave me his discs or something. And so the game had been out for several years, I think. I don't think it was new. And I tried it and I was like, oh man, like, I remember playing it so much one weekend that my mom called me up for dinner and she was like, what have you been doing all day? Have you just been playing video games? And I was sort of like, yes. Because I think I played, that first time I ever played, I think I played for like 12 hours or something. Like, it just, was that good of a game, in my opinion. I feel like even to this day, once in a while, I'll discover games like that. Like games that I just really like, like FTL or Backpack Hero, or like many people, Balatro, like there's just games that you encounter that you just love so much and you end up coming back to over and over. Slay the Spire, oh god, there's a swastika. You don't notice that as much from the first person, but it's not really mistakable from the top down. Okay, I had to knife that guy because I need ammo. The minigun is fun, but man, does it blow through your reserves. The pistol is like the most economical way to go through, unfortunately. Look, I'm moonwalking. Right, enough being silly. So yeah, XCOM UFO Defense, great game. What are some of your guys' like favorites? Like games that like you discovered and it doesn't matter how old they become, you could like almost always play them. Ooh, we passed the level. I guess we'll do one more. I was thinking this might be our last, but we'll do one more. I guess another one for me, like no surprise, is Battletech. The Crescent Hawk's Revenge. One of my favorite games of all time. Talked about it many times, but obviously the whole motivation behind creating my own Battletech style games. Why is that glowing? I thought that was like a deer or something at first, but it was a dog. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other like really good games. Like there are really good games out there like Fallout. Like I played so much Fallout back in the day. I really liked it. But I will say, like, these days, if you put Fallout in front of me, I wouldn't say it's not a good game or I'm not, like, totally interested or anything. But, like, XCOM UFO Defense is, like, I could almost play it any time. Fallout, it's like, I have to be in the right mood. Like, it's a lot to take on, you know? Which is another thing I never thought I would say about video games. But, like, the whole, like, that's a big commitment, you know? Like, when I look back at when I was young and I had no responsibilities and how much time I had in the day, right? Because it's like I would play any video game any day of the week for hours and hours and hours. Nowadays, it's like the thought of playing Fallout, it's not that it doesn't appeal to me, it's that it makes me feel tired to think about it. Oh, God. Getting old, guys. And it's because it's like I just have so much else to do, you know? Like, I don't know. I need a personal assistant who does everything up to and including putting food in my mouth. Bring me a plate of food is not enough. You have to literally shovel it into my mouth so that all my mental attention can be devoted towards playing games. And then I will get back my youthful exuberance for games. But these days, it's like, I got to be strategic with games. You know what I mean? I think that's why it's like sometimes there are like new games that come out. And people who I know, younger people who I know are like, oh, this RPG is so good. You got to play this. And I'm just like, oh, RPG. I'm like, I bet it's good. I'm never going to play it. You know, like there was a time when I lied to myself and I'm like, yeah, I'll play that someday. I'll add it to my wish list. And nowadays it's like, I'm like, yeah, maybe when I retire, kid, you know, when I retire, I'll have so much time for games. And so I think I've talked about this. This is why I believe I gravitate more towards the indie scene these days. I mean, there's two big reasons. One is, you know, obviously growing up with the NES and Wolfenstein 3D and all that stuff. Just looking for secrets, humping the walls here. Obviously growing up in that era, I like those old style games. And nowadays, studios making AAA games. AAA games can be very good, but they don't feel like old Nintendo games anymore. But you know what does feel like old Nintendo games? Is indie games. Because now these games are being made by like one or maybe a team of 3 or 4 people. They don't have the infinite resources. They rely on pixel art a lot because in some ways it's easier or simpler stylized polygons. And it just evokes all those, retro game vibes. So not only stylistically do indie games speak to me more, but I also find indie games are sometimes more often smaller experiences. And it's like, that's what I have the time and energy for these days, you know? So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, that means you're probably young. You have a lot of ambition in life, some wide-eyed dreams. And I hope you get to experience your dreams. And one day you'll be old and tired like me, and you'll just want a video game that can be played in 30 minutes so that you can get to bed by 9:30. You know what I mean? It's coming for you. I didn't think it would come for me, and it came for me. It's coming for you, too. It's coming for us all, guys. Aye! It's coming for you like an escaped American out of a German POW camp if you were a Nazi. I guess I just called you guys Nazis. I take it back. It's coming. It's coming for you. If I elaborate, I'm going to make it worse. I have an uncanny ability to, the more I talk, the worse things get for me. So I should just learn to shut up more. If I was more quiet in life, I probably would offend fewer people. Alright. You know what? We have not used our minigun in a while. I think it's time. We have enough ammo.
Mein Leben!
Yes! Mein Leben! Ooh, we got a key. Feeling good about this level. I think we might be close to the end here. Now, if this was first person, I'd be utterly lost at this point. I would have no idea where I'm going. Even like 2.5D, without the map, it's hard for me to track where I'm going. I guess this is another sort of pivot into the I'm old conversation, but I don't know when it happened, but it did. I wear, I guess they don't call them bifocals anymore. They call them transitionals, but I've worn glasses my whole life, and now I wear the kind where at the bottom half, they're zooming you up close, and the top half you see far away. They don't have that blunt line across the middle of them. Instead, they sort of gradually transition to hide it. When I first got transitional glasses, it did make me feel a little more mature. You know, like, you know, now I have a mortgage and I do taxes and stuff, kind of mature, which I had before. I always... I didn't start doing my taxes only when I got transitionals, but you know what I mean. So I had that mature moment, but it only seems cool for a minute, and then you realize it just means you're older. So anyway, how did we get on this? Why am I talking about age so much? It's like, I guess on my mind for some reason. Didn't even realize it. Okay, and now we're at the point of the level. This is where the conveniences of modern games really help, because like old games don't respect your time as much, and they're like, well, screw you. You got to find out where the key is. I feel like a modern game, once you got the key, a thing would pop up that was to say, head for the exit, and thered be like a little arrow directing you to at least give you a hint. You know, not necessarily telling you exactly where to go, but at least just recognizing that we all got lives and mortgages now, and we're all wearing transitional glasses, and you should at least tell the player what direction the exit is so that they can get back to their kids and stuff, you know, like these guys got mortgages to pay. They can't be wandering around Wolfenstein 3D levels all day, you know. Anyway, I think this is where we'll stop for today. In fact, I'm going to save my game. In case, if you guys like this, I will come back to it, and I'm totally happy to buy Wolfenstein 3D, which I own somewhere. But I don't think I've ever bought it on Steam, so that we could get all the levels here if we want to see more of this. That's another thing that happens as you get old. If you live from the NES days up until now, is you have to buy the same games over and over. Like, I definitely bought Wolfenstein 3D as a kid. And then I'm pretty sure I bought it on Super Nintendo, or my uncle did. And then I haven't bought it on Steam. So they're getting me 3 times if I buy it on Steam. But, you know... It's a classic. I'm sure it's down to like 99 cents. I'll pay that. I don't care. I'm so magnanimous with my money. I will donate 99 cents to the id Software guys, which I don't even... I wonder if they still even get royalties off Wolfenstein, John Carmack and whatever. Anyway, guys, ISO Wolf here. I'll put a link in the description down below. You can check it out yourself. You can play the shareware levels. You can buy the game on Steam, play all the levels. What did you think here? I think it is a really inventive, cool fan project. I think it brings Wolfenstein 3D back to its core, where, again, people have always discussed it's technically a 2D game, but drawn in 3D. What if you took that 2D game and drew it in 2.5D? I don't think it's as mind-blowing. Like, if Wolfenstein 3D had come out like this back in the day, I don't think it would have had the legacy that it had. Like, at the time, no one really did, like, first-person shooters. And so that being the real granddaddy that really cracked the mold and made people notice first-person shooters. There had been, like, 1 or 2 beforehand, but this one really sort of hit home. I think if Wolfenstein 3D had been this, it would not have left the legacy it did. It wouldn't have led to Doom and all that. That said... since we do have Wolfenstein 3D, it's cool to see the game being played a different way. And you know what? If the developer for this ever made ISO Doom, I would really want to play that. I think it'd be a little harder because there's stairs and stuff, but ISO Doom, that would be awesome to see. So, developer, if you were watching, that's my personal request, but also you did a great job with this. Guys, what do you think of this game? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I hope you had fun checking something new out with me. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and like and all that stuff, because oh, and we died. We literally got iced at the very end there. We gotta kill that guy. We can't end like that, you dick. Yeah, I don't know. When you click on buttons on my channel, it makes YouTube happy, so please do. So do. Guys, this has been fun. I will catch you in the next one. Until then, my friends. Peace! Oh! I guess it did. He's just never gonna stop.